Because in a class like this, it's really not about watching me and doing anything correctly. There is no right. There is no wrong. There's only being. Sit, chit, actually, or sat, S-A-T, sat, right? The act of being. So that's the only thing that's really important in this class, is being inside of our bodies. This is to go deep into the sensations from within, letting the external world go. The external world are all constructs that we create individually through society and culture. What's deep inside of us, this is yoga tradition, this is yoga lore, this is the underlying philosophy. We are pure, we are perfect already. We don't need any improvement. If you're here for improvement, it's probably not going to work for you. It's not part of it. We're already perfect, and all we need to do is find and get in touch with that perfection that lives in our center. That which is with us always. I'm going to back off a little bit here. I'm just checking out folks out there. I love to see beautiful people out here. It probably works best if you turn your microphones off and just leave mine on. So, Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha is how the Yoga Sutra defines yoga. Yoga is the state of a still mind. A still mind doesn't mean an empty mind. It doesn't mean a thoughtless mind. It just means that there's something within us, and the mind doesn't live in the head. In Indian lore, it's a heart mind. It's the heart mind. It's one. We can't have thoughts that don't affect our emotions, and we can't have emotions that don't affect our thoughts. They're one and the same, okay, in this tradition. So when we get into touch with our center, that which is with us at all times and always has been, every memory we have, if we go back and meditate on that memory, we find that there's a part of us that is with us. Right? That is the place we want to align with. It's already there. We've just masked it, covered it with social construct. So the idea is to release that. That's all of yoga. This is what yoga is about, whether it's a physical practice, an asana practice, or a deep meditation practice, or a practice of daily life. It's about stripping away that which keeps us from being in union with our center, with that which is always with us. Swarupyam is what that's called. So in a class like this, we move incredibly slowly or not at all to come into the stillness. It's the mind that needs to be still, but we can have a still mind while we go about our daily business. It's just a mind that's aligned with our center. So we're going to do some slow, easy movement and feel the depth of the movement and look for the integration, the connections within. That's the important part of this type of a practice. So I'll be willing to answer any questions. If you have a question, just go ahead and turn your microphone on and slap that out there, and I'll get it to you. Well, let's go ahead and begin. And we like to begin in a comfortable, easy position, whatever that is for you. I'm in a position like this. This may not be comfortable for you. Find a place that's comfortable, and it may not be upright. That's a big part of somatic yin, is getting out of the field of gravity. We'll get into that. So we get out of the field of gravity by becoming horizontal. Right? So that's another choice that we have. We can be seated in any position that's comfortable for us, whatever that is, right? There's lots of different ways we can sit. We can sit on our head, we can sit on our shoulders, or we can just kind of lay down. Right? Any way that's comfortable for you. If on your side's more comfortable, if on your belly's more comfortable. It's a rare person that finds laying on their belly more comfortable, but we'll be doing some of that. Maybe with the knee out to the side. Just find a place where you can allow your body to succumb to forces that it cannot control. That's another big part of yoga. It's called sattarka, which is critical discernment. That which helps us become aligned with our true self and that which does not. Okay, so that's a kind of a judgment, a critical analysis, critical thinking. So as you're sitting and becoming comfortable, we're going to begin sitting or lying or standing. You may be more comfortable standing. We're going to begin the way that we like to begin classes. And that's with a mantra. And this is a mantra from an ancient text around the 4th century before the Common Era. It's in several compendiums at that time over a span of several hundred years, but it is the invocation for the Katha Upanishad. And a lot of yoga, a lot of the original yoga lore came from the Katha Upanishad. And this is a blessing mantra. This is a mantra about us working together, right? Working constructively together, nurturing each other, finding energy from each other, creating an environment for deepened learning, and an environment where we never create any animosity among ourselves. So this is the mantra. Blessing mantra. Just gonna whip that out for you. We gotta do this. Be the change you want to be. Wait, that's not right. Be the change you want to be in this world. Om Sahana Bhavatu. Sahanau Bhunaktu. Sahaviram Karavai. Tejasvinavaditamastu. Oh. I practice out of love for myself to learn the truth for the benefit of all beings. So let's everyone come to our backs. And in this kind of practice, it's really more beneficial for us if we engage our mind while we are stilling it. So to listen and to allow any directions that I may give you that you agree with, to just let it happen through your body without creating a story about it, without putting it into words or pictures, just allowing the spontaneous organization of your body from the word. So you notice I'm lying with my feet on the floor comfortably, my knees kind of towards the sky, my back is soft and comfortable, my jaw is comfortable. So this is one of our major positions in a class like this. This will be bring your legs to standing. Okay? So your feet are on the floor and your knees are more or less towards the sky. We're allowing everything to relax. It usually takes the human body several minutes to actually become acclimated to not having to work constantly to remain upright in the gravitational field. So allow yourself to just start to go, let your breath come and go without trying to change it, without trying to control it, just feel it and where it goes. Now an option from here is to allow your knees to come together. You can have your eyes closed, your eyes open. Check in with your jaw occasionally. Make sure you're relaxing in your jaw and your shoulders, your neck. You can allow your head to gently roll from side to side. So we call this a constructive rest position with the legs resting on each other. We're not even doing any work to hold the legs up. They're just forming a lean-to. And a third rest position that we use on our back is completely supine. So let's everyone come into the completely supine position now. You'll notice my arms are at the side, palms down. Maybe you're not noticing. It's better if you don't notice what I'm doing. Don't look behind the curtain. You can have your palms up or your palms down, but what I'm going to suggest is you try both. And very slowly roll your palms towards the ceiling. See if you can start to feel the train of energy going through your body. There's muscles working all through your body into the spine, just as your arms completely resting on the ground, and just roll the palm up and back down. This class is about feeling into the movement, becoming intimately aware at the deepest level of our body movement, our body position, and our posture. Begin to notice how you're lying on the floor without creating a story. Direct experience. So notice how you're lying. Maybe starting with your heels. You can always press one heel down a little bit into the floor and the other heel, just to see how that feels in your body. And not a lot. We never engage a lot. In fact, very often we'll just organize the body for a movement without really being concerned with the movement. It's not the movement that's critical for a practice like this. It's learning how to integrate and allow the body to organize itself from experience, from many variations of the same type of movement. And if this is uncomfortable for you, if you're starting to feel your lower back here, go ahead and bring those feet back to standing. Come to the constructive rest or just legs to standing. But think about allowing your back to relax into the floor. And now I'm going to ask everyone to bring their legs to standing. And just find a comfortable place. Just find a place where you're not doing any work or the minimum amount of work your body can do. We're always going to work to breathe. We're always going to work for cellular metabolism. We're always going to work for homeostasis, right? This takes a considerable amount of energy from us every day. But we can let go as much as possible. We're working against gravity to keep the legs up, but see if you can find a place where you can be as efficient as possible. Maybe move the legs a little further away from each other. A lot of people find that to be a lot more comfortable and a lot easier to be, or you can bring the feet a little bit closer together. Now, most people find this to be a little bit more difficult, but everybody is different. I happen to find my legs a little bit further apart and the feet kind of underneath the knees, so that my feet are doing what they would do if I were standing. They're bearing weight, but just the weight of holding my knees upright. And notice what that does. It helps the back to flatten onto the floor. Helps it to elongate. And now in this position with the arms at the side, or you can bring your hands to your belly, breathe into the lower belly to expand. About 2 inches below the navel, allow that to expand, but notice if you can relax the back as you're expanding the belly, and see if you can, like a ball right in the middle of your belly blowing up, and the back's getting closer to the floor, the belly's getting closer to the ceiling, the sides getting broader. With the inhale, and on the exhale, relax, let it go. Don't do work to do this. Use imagery. Try to relax into the back. Maybe as you're breathing into the lower belly, maybe you find that if you actually press a little bit into your feet, just a little bit, you notice the back comes down a little bit easier, but we're still blowing up the belly right now. On the inhale and on the exhale, maybe allow the feet to become a little bit lighter. Then Press the feet down again and just notice what's happening. As you're inhaling and the belly's expanding, your lower back wants to come up off the floor. But if you breathe into the back at the same time you're breathing into the belly, the pelvis stays neutral. And on the exhale, just put a little bit of tension in that space about 2 inches below the belly button, between the front of the belly and the spine. Just a little bit of tension between that point on the exhale. That helps to relax the spine, the lower back also. So inhale. Inhale. Think about allowing the back to become longer and the belly to become longer. Pelvis is neutral. Press into the feet a little bit, and now the pelvis rolls so that the bottom of the pelvis, the pubic bone, comes up towards your head. Release the feet, and the pubic bone goes back down towards the floor, and you might feel a lift here. Just do that several times. Really feel deeply into how your pelvis rotates. This is called a posterior rotation. The top of the pelvis is moving backwards. The bottom of the pelvis is moving forwards. And just feel that. And now, come to a neutral position. Your hands can still be on your belly. In fact, I would recommend you bring your hands to your belly here. And now I'm going to ask you on the exhale, as you draw the navel down just a little bit, back is relaxed and flat, take the weight off your feet. I'm not asking you to lift them. Organize as if you wanted to lift your feet. And you might feel that there's a tendency, in fact, if you don't tighten your belly, what you'll notice is if you lift your feet, your pelvis is going to roll forward. The top of the pelvis is going to roll forward. The back comes off the ground. That's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to draw your lower belly in very softly. It's always as easy as you can be with something, and then lift your feet to keep the pelvis neutral. We're just keeping the pelvis neutral now and the lower back neutral also. And we're not using the back muscles. We're using belly muscles only in both cases. Whether we're inhaling and pressing the feet down, we're using the belly muscles through the expansion of the belly to stabilize the pelvis. And as we lift the feet, it's the same thing. So you can feel that in your body. Stabilizing the pelvis. And now, don't stabilize the pelvis. Press the feet down, relax the belly muscles, relax the back muscles, and allow the back to really come flat. And you might even feel the tail starting to lift just a little, but don't try to get it to lift. If it starts to lift, fine, and then back down. And just do that several times. Come to a complete relaxation in between movements. Press the feet down, feel the whole back flatten, and maybe the tail starts to lift just a little bit back down. And now go the other way. Begin to lift the knees so that the thighs become longer away from you. Think about lifting the knees, the feet become lighter, and allow the pelvis to roll so the top of the pelvis rolls towards the sky, the tail rolls into the floor, and the back lifts off the floor. And then slowly let yourself roll back to neutral. Just find your neutral. Allow your back and your pelvis to do this anterior rotation. When you lift your feet, top of the pelvis is coming forward, anterior. You press the feet down, pelvis, top of the pelvis goes back into the floor, that's posterior. And then next time you're neutral, just extend your legs long for just a minute. I always like to get a little bit of pelvic movement at the beginning of a class. This is something that we have a hard time with in the modern world, sitting in chairs and in cars, and the way we hold our bodies. Let's bring our legs back to standing. And now I'm going to ask you, and bring your hands to the side now, is press the feet into the floor and allow the pelvis to begin to lift, but see if you can peel. Right? There's two ways you can do this. You can engage the kunda, the spot beneath the navel, and keep the pelvis neutral and lift the back like it's a board, one piece. Or we can draw, we can just completely relax the back and the navel, and then it'll peel up. See if you can peel up and just notice how far it goes before you have to do work. So I'm almost to the top of my pelvis, and I'm going to release it back down. And just try this several times, pressing the feet down. Just very, very little movement. Check it out. I think I heard some there. Maybe not. Thought I heard a chat. Okay. Slowly. And see where you lose contact with the floor. So as you roll the pelvis, you might feel the back of the pelvis, but there might be a place where you can't feel the vertebrae. And that's where we stop. That's where we're stuck. Our back is stuck. The whole spine, just like a cat or a dog lying on the floor, the whole spine will be on the floor. We get stuck in a place where we can't allow ourselves to relax onto the floor. So when you start to feel that, stop there and just like play around in that area. Just move slightly into it and back out. Breathe naturally and softly. Try to let everything go except just a little bit of energy you need for the movement. But eventually, even once you get stuck, move past the stuck part, and you might come up like a board. You might partially peel up and the rest come up as a board. And begin to bring your awareness to your glutes, the muscles back here. In fact, you can put your hands on the glutes as you release them back down and see if they get really soft. Allow yourself to relax enough so that this part of your glutes becomes soft. And then as you begin to press the feet into the ground, notice where you're pressing into the feet. See if you can help your glutes squeeze together. Draw them together as you lift. And so you can feel this stiffening in the pelvis, but it's drawing the energy towards the center is what helps you to lift. Feet are flat and back down. Okay, now, just do that 1 or 2 more times. Try to peel up as far as you can, and then when you get stuck, when you're not peeling it up individually, now I'm peeling up individually now, 1 vertebrae at a time. I've been doing this for many years, and I can feel each vertebrae. I can feel the spinous process at the back of the pelvis, or the back of the spine. I can feel each one of those on the ground, all the way up to the middle of my back, coming up and down. And this is the kind of awareness we're looking for when we practice any kind of physical yoga. It's the awareness that has to come before the movement, otherwise injury will ensue. Okay, so go ahead and relax. You can bring the knees together for a minute. We always want to give our bodies plenty of time and space to feel, to notice the difference. The learning happens in the reptilian part of the brain. It's not a place where conscious thoughts and stories have any access. It's just from active movement, and bringing the conscious awareness to the movement helps the body to learn, helps this physical learning, this muscular learning to occur in the body so that we become more efficient in the movements. We don't have to work. If you're practicing yogasana and you're doing work, you need to back way off. Yogasana is not about doing work. It's not about the shapes. It's about finding the shape in your body so that you're breathing differently, you're feeling differently, so you meditate differently. All right, so let's bring the legs back to standing. Let's press both feet into the ground, allow the pelvis to lift, and find a place that's comfortable for you. Engage the belly, lifting on an exhale, and then begin to just translate the pelvis a little bit to the right. So we're not tilting the pelvis, we're translating. We're engaged in the belly, and so we're neutral in the pelvis. It's just going side to side. As I move my pelvis to the left, the right side of the body becomes longer. Notice what happens in the feet. Just go side to side, just a little bit, feeling deep. Notice how the glutes, you can put your hands back on your glutes. Notice how the weight changes from One side, glute gets hard, other side soft. As you move, the glute that you're moving to becomes hard and the other one that you're coming off of becomes soft. Become intimately aware to how the glutes and these deep pelvic muscles help to keep your pelvis neutral as you're doing this movement. This is something that gets washed out in the modern world. The ability of the glute muscles and the deep pelvic muscles to act in uniform to maintain the stability of the pelvis. We end up using our lower back muscles. Right now, bring your awareness to your lower back. Are you holding tension back there, or is it just floating your lower back? And all the weight is in your feet and between your shoulder blades. And then go ahead and release back down. All right, so this is side stretch is what we're doing. We're doing a side stretch with a little bit of glute engagement, a little bit of awareness with a stable pelvis. There's an awful lot of yogasana poses where this is required and people don't stabilize their pelvis and they end up repetitively doing the same damage to their spines. Okay, so now let's do it a little bit differently. Let's only press into the right foot. Keep the right knee towards the ceiling and allow the left knee to move if it wants, but just roll a little bit onto the left side and then back down. Now when we're rolling onto the left side, just like a cylinder, part of the cylinder doesn't lift up off the floor and keep rolling. As we roll, breathe deep into the lower belly onto the left side and try to blow the back and the side into the floor, the ribs into the floor, and start to feel the pressure on the side of the ribs. And then back down. So we're tilting the pelvis to the left here. The knee is still towards the ceiling and my right thigh is getting longer, and that helps to engage the glutes back here. And then go ahead and rest on the right side. You can bring the knees together and just notice, you might notice the left side of your body feels a little bit closer, the left side of your back feels a little bit closer to the floor than the right. Most people will feel that because we're rolling onto the left, helping it to sink into the floor. And now we're going to do the other side. We're going to press into the left foot and roll a little bit to the right, slowly and easily. The left knee's towards the ceiling, left thigh is getting longer. And I'm breathing into my right lower back and into the right ribs, feeling it even in the ribs up under the arm and slowly rolling back down to neutral. And I'm inhaling on the roll, but you don't have to. You can exhale on the roll. When you're exhaling, draw the navel down towards the spine. When you're inhaling, press the spine away from the navel. With the breath. We don't do it with any other muscles in the breath. Okay, so this is kind of half a bridge, right? But it's more or less just the roll of your body. And now, go ahead and press into the right pelvis. Rotate the pelvis to the left. And now begin to press the left foot down and bring the pelvis up so that the top of the pelvis is level with the floor, even weight in the feet. And then go ahead and begin to slowly lower the right side back down. And then the left side back down. And now we'll make a loop with it. We're going to press to lift the right side up. Knees going away from my body. That really helps to engage the glutes. You can feel that thought of making the thigh longer. And then make the left thigh longer, bringing the knee away, engaging that glutes. Balance the glutes, balance the weight on the feet. And then go ahead and drop the right pelvis once again, slowly down. So you can feel the side of the spine now as it comes down, vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way down. And then begin to drop the left side. And now let's go to the other side. Let's begin to lift the left side. Allowing the whole right side of the body to roll onto itself. And then bring the right knee away from the body as the right side comes up, leveling the pelvis. Try to find that even weight. Try to relax into the back. Hold this for a minute. Put your hands on your glutes. If one side's hard and the other side's soft, you're not balanced. Move towards the soft side until your glutes are balanced. See if that helps with the weight. And then we're slowly going to release the left side down, all the way down to the ground, keeping the right side lifted, and then drop the right side down. We'll do that one more time. Slowly begin to lift the left side, and this might feel very different than the right side. And now the right side, balancing the glutes at the top, balancing the weight on the feet, and then drop the left side down, and the right side down. All right, go ahead and extend your legs for a minute, and just relax your arms by your side. How's everybody doing out there? We all doing okay? As usual, I take a lot more time than I ever think I do, but breathe, feel your breath. Don't develop a relationship with your breath that's an adversarial one, right? We don't have to work to breathe. We want to soften to breathe. The softer we are, the easier we move, especially this rolling. Our ribs, because of the way we sit, become tight. Ribs, the most flexible part of our spine is the rib part of the spine. The ribs keep it stable, but the most flexibility is up here. When we twist and everything, we don't want to twist from down here. We want to twist into the ribs. When we can't twist into the ribs, we twist down here, and that's not what we want to do. All right, so why don't we just, from where we are here, just come onto our bellies for a minute. Whatever that means to you. And just put the right hand on top of the left hand, like so. And bring your right cheek to the back of the right hand, like so. And now what I'm going to ask you to do is to try to lift your right pelvis off the ground. Now how do you do that? How do you lift your right pelvis off the ground? We know how to lift it off the ground the other way. We can press the foot down into the floor. If you try to press the foot down into the floor here, what's going to happen though? Your pelvis is going to go down into the floor. You might be able to lift, but it's because you're using your back muscles, and that's not what we want to do. So try pressing into your knee and into your right elbow at the same time. So the knee and the elbow come a little bit closer. Notice what happens. The right pelvis lifts, and you start to roll onto your left side. And then slowly release down. Try that several times. So now we're engaging the flexors, the hip flexors on the front. Want to relax into the back here still. And slowly release down. We don't have to balance the hip flexors when we're lying on the ground. When we're standing, we overuse the hip flexors. So they're typically short in most people. Some people get frozen with them long. So to get something longer, we have to activate it and then let it get longer. So as we bring the knee towards the right elbow, we're activating those flexors, and then we slowly allow them to lengthen. So what I like to do here is I exhale, draw my navel in as I press the knee and the elbow together. And then I inhale into the belly and use that expansion of the spine to bring me back to the floor. Find that nice rest in between. So it's the right elbow towards the right knee. It's this energy towards each other. The whole right side of the body is actually shortening as the pelvis lifts, and we're rolling onto the left side that's lengthening. Okay? So go ahead and find a neutral spot. Actually, let's tuck our toes under. Okay, and bring our hands to kind of a chaturanga or a push-up position. The elbows are pretty close in. You can put your forehead on the floor if you like, and find a place where you can tuck your toes under, like you're getting ready to start a race. Press your heels back away from your body. So we're lengthening the back and the front of the body here. And now press into the toes. Notice what happens. The heels come up closer to the body, toes come away, and then pull the heels back or press the heels back. Press into the toes, pull the heels back. Press into the toes, pull the heels back. Try to relax your belly and allow this movement of the flesh, especially in the pelvic area. If you can, press your pubic bone a little bit into the floor as you do this. And we're just gently moving the flesh on the top, and that takes all this connective tissue with it into the muscles and actually starts to move the muscles underneath. I find this to be one of the most relaxing things on both sides. And then after a while you can feel, wow, you know, as I press my toes back, there's actually kind of an elastic band in my body that wants to bring me back, so I can push and come back, push and come back. Well, that's like a swing. If I get the rhythm just right, I can use virtually no energy and just allow my body to oscillate. You can have the head on the floor, you can put it on the hands, you can do whatever feels right for you. And then feel into those same hip flexors that we were working just a moment ago. How they connect into the feet, the movement of the feet. We're doing kind of a walking movement, heels, toes, heels, toes, heels, toes, right? So go ahead and relax, rest. Bring the left hand on top of the right now. Put the left cheek on top of the left hand. Just give yourself a moment. And then how would you draw the left hip up? Well, same thing. Press the left, draw the left knee gently towards the left elbow and the elbow towards the knee. Allow this hip to roll up, so we're rolling on to the right side. Now I'm actually doing this more than I want you to do it. And then slowly release down. Feel the engagement in the left deep inner pelvis. And back down. Knee to elbow. Left side of the body is shortening, the right side of the body is lengthening. And back down. And back down. So just slowly, take your time. The slower you go, the greater the benefit. Just keep your awareness deep and breathe. Don't worry about how you're breathing yet. We're going to do some breathing exercises in just a minute when we come into some stationary poses. And just feel that rolling, a cylinder. And feel it in the ribs. This is really what we want to do. We want to just kind of help the ribs find some mobility, some flexibility. Every rib has two joints in the back. Joint in the front, and they're all movable joints unless you don't move them, and then they kind of freeze themselves up, but they can be unstuck. And bring yourself back to that quiet place on your belly. Tuck your toes under, do whatever feels right for you, and just see if you can find that gentle movement. Relax. The whole idea is to use as little energy in your body as you can. Okay, so come on back onto your back for just a minute, or just take a look for a minute. I have a bolster, and I have some of these little cushions that I use. So you want to have something that may be like a bolster. I'll show you where we're going here in just a minute. This is a yin kind of pose. We're going to start in what we like to call stag pose or deer pose. So one leg is behind us, the other leg is in front of us here. And we're more or less lying to the side of a bolster or a pillow, or you can do it on the floor. You don't need that much. But we're going to want to be able to get our ribs, side of the ribs on this as we lay. And then we're going to want something to support the head. And we might want something for between the legs. So this is what we're going to need here. But we're not there yet. But you're going to need those handy because we're going to roll right into this shape. All right, so let's come on to our backs. Hopefully we can see what we're going to do here. So let's bring the right leg to standing once again. And let's just do a couple trials here. Let's press into the right leg, right foot, right thigh is getting longer. We're rolling onto the left. Let's bring the left arm up overhead someplace. If overhead's not working, you can come into kind of like a goal post kind of arm with a bent elbow. It can be out to the side, but try to have the hand more or less over the head. Because as we press into the foot, we can actually roll into this space under the arms. Right? The stiffness under the ribs goes into the arm, into the shoulder, into the neck, and back down. Let your head, your neck just float. For me, my head wants to go opposite the direction of the body. The right side of the body is getting shorter, right? The pelvis is coming closer to the spine up here. The left side's getting longer as I roll onto it. The arms, the right arm should be at the side of the body now. I'm just kind of directing traffic here. Just do that a few times and start to feel the feeling. And now bring the right hand at the space between the lower ribs and the softness of the belly so that your hand can feel both. And just slowly begin to lift your right elbow, or organize to lift your right elbow. Maybe it lifts a millimeter. Maybe it doesn't lift at all. Maybe it just becomes lighter. Maybe you want to do this on an exhale. You can allow your right shoulder, your back to relax, right? Because to lift the shoulder, we're engaging across the pecs, across the chest muscles, so the back muscles have to release and get longer. And then go ahead and relax that down. And just give yourself a moment. You can extend both legs or come into any kind of rest position. It's good for you, but I kind of like laying here. And now what I'm going to ask you to do is notice that as we bring the elbow of the right arm up, the right elbow comes towards the left hip. As we press the right foot down and allow the right thigh to become longer, the right pelvis comes closer to the left shoulder. Okay, if we do those both at the same time, what happens as we begin to, I had my arm down the side, we begin to roll to the side of our body and allow that to happen. Notice I have my right leg still pointed towards the sky. Okay, so I'm opening up into this hip flexor that we just worked a little bit, and then back down. Okay, so I'm leading with both my elbow and my knee. My elbow's coming up, but it's only going to come so far, then it's got to bring the chest with it, and with my knee onto the side. And if I just stay heavy, my whole right side stays on the body, and I start to roll onto my left arm. And then draw the shoulder back and allow the pelvis to come back down. Okay. Notice how we're using the glutes and we're using the hip flexor, both sides that we've already worked a little bit. And one more time, like so. Notice I still have this knee up out there. And back down. So we're rolling on a cylinder, right? Parts of the cylinder, when you're rolling like bread dough or something, I guess you don't roll bread dough, but whatever kind of dough you roll, right? You don't want part of the rolling pin, part of that cylinder to not be doing its work. We're the rolling pin. We want to make sure we flatten the dough, but this dough's not flattening, but the roller pin is going to flatten. We want to feel the ribs flatten onto the floor. We want to get that pliability, that flexibility, feel that in the ribs. So maybe exhale as we begin this movement. And inhale back. You can try both. There's no right way to breathe. There's no wrong way to breathe. You get stuck in ways to breathe, but that way to breathe is right for some things. There's no way that's not right to breathe for something. If we tie you into a knot, you're going to be breathing very differently than if you're lying comfortably. So go ahead and take a break now. You can bring that left arm back down. And we're going to take this just a little bit further now. Maybe feel the difference between the left side of your body and the right. Once again, you might feel the left's a little bit closer to the floor. We've been rolling onto it. We've been flattening into it. So go ahead and bring the left arm up, right leg up into the standing position. But now we're going to begin the movement with the right elbow and the right knee. But now we're going to begin to reach for the left hand with the right fingers, and our head and our eyes are going to look in the same direction. Notice how that brings a little bit more weight into the upper ribs. Try to be as easy as you can on this side of the body, so it's just sinking into the earth. Still having my right knee more or less towards the ceiling, and then slowly come back. Just let your head follow along. Do that several times. Reaching, it's all about your body's going to go where your eyes go. It's always going to be easier if you're looking where you want to go. It's called the drishti. If you don't know, if you're not facing in the right direction, if you're not looking in the right direction, it doesn't matter how long you go, you're never going to get to your destination because you're not going in the right direction. And back down. Okay, now what I want you to do is bring the left arm someplace on the side of the body, palm down, palm up. I don't care where it is, but it's down here someplace. And you might actually want to, this is one of the few things you might want to watch. So I'm going to do that same movement. My left hand's not back here, but I'm still going to reach up with that left hand. And notice as I roll onto the side how my left knee starts to bend. And then I'm going to find my weight just from moving my head and my arm. This right leg's coming back to the left foot. And I'm easily coming into a seated position. And I'm coming back the same way. In somatics, reversibility is the whole game. We want, any movement we make, we want to be able to stop anywhere in the movement and return. So coming back down, we just do the opposite. We softly lie ourselves back on the ground, come back into this position, and back out. So do that just a couple times. Try to find, this is usually the place that's the trouble for people because they're looking in weird places. It also actually helps if you bring your head underneath the arm and keep the head as close as you can to the ground as you come up. Okay, bringing the head down. Your whole center of gravity is now on the floor, and it helps a lot. Keep the head down. But you can also, as your body becomes more accustomed to moving through space, you can do this no matter what you're doing. It's just getting up and off the floors just becomes so easy. So next time you find yourself up here, notice we just come up in to this stag pose or deer pose is what we call it, or is what yin yoga people call it. So we are now going to do 2 3-minute meditations, and this is more traditional yin practice. So bring the bolster, or whatever you have, so that you have length behind you, because remember we're going to come in on the side. Now I want to get my pelvis away from that. I actually bring my pelvis back down here and lengthen into the left side and then lay it over the bolster. And then I'll find something for my head. And I'm just keeping my legs like they are. If that's not comfortable for you, you can bring the knees towards each other. You can bring something into the knees. So this is one of my favorite yin poses. And in this shape, we want to breathe into the right side the whole time. I don't know if you can see what's happening, but just watch my hand here. That's an exhale. I flatten. I'm not lifting anything back here. That's just my ribs moving. It's just all from ribs moving. Okay, so breathe deep into the right side, keeping the left relaxed. What we're trying to do is improve the movement in the spine. So we're locking out the bottom part of the spine with weight on it, and the right side then is going to be kind of like an accordion opening like this, right? As we inhale, let the bottom of the ribs expand towards the sky. Let the sternum come forward and up. Let the whole rib cage lift up towards the head. Let the pelvis be heavy so you feel an extension in the lower back and in the front belly muscles. Keep it soft. Keep your jaw soft. Close your eyes. Let it go. We'll be here for 3 minutes. Continuing to breathe.
You can watch the timer.
Yeah, if you want. Let me set it. You can do that. Full awareness on your breath. If it's in you, after the inhale, maybe inhale for a count of 4 or 6 or 3 or whatever feels right for you. And then hold the inhale. Don't let the exhale out yet. Hold the inhale, but relax. Allow your belly and your whole body to just relax around this balloon that you are now. And then exhale slowly for however long you inhaled for, and then hold the exhale out for a few moments. Make the transition soft and easy. Breathing into the right side. Still breathing into the right side. Just bringing your awareness to the right side allows the right side to expand. That's all it takes. That's what this whole class is about. It's about awareness. That's what yoga is about, is awareness. Now, bring your awareness to the left side, the side on the bolster, and expand into the left side. And just notice the difference. Notice that you can expand into your left side. Notice you can lift yourself off the bolster, if ever so little. But as we learn to soften our breath, it's not about effort. Just because we're taking action doesn't mean it requires effort. Right? We don't want our life to be full of effort. We want it to be full of action. And how do we do that? We find that true self. And if we're aligned with the true self, then actions that are in alignment with that self require no energy, require no effort. So slowly now, come from this side extension, this side bending. And what I usually just like to do is bring my right hand and put it on my left palm and just kind of open up like a clam. Be very careful as you do this into the hips. You might notice you start to get a little, if you get any kind of tightness in the hips, back off and bring your knees closer together and try it. Bring your knees closer together and then allow your knees to rotate if that's what it takes. Okay, so my right knee's not going all the way down. So I'm going to find a bolster or something and stick it in between my legs here. So we've done the side. Now we're lying on the back. So now what I'm going to ask you to do is think about expanding into the left and the right side of the ribs simultaneously and equally. So your inhale's about becoming wider. The bottom of the ribs feel like they're coming apart from each other. You're starting to feel that the shoulders are expanding. No effort. Just let your breath be. Make sure you're breathing. We never want to hold our breath. There's nothing ever so important that we have to put everything into it and hold our breath and grit our teeth. We just become softer and softer. Keep the awareness on this side-to-side expansion. You might notice that if you allow the side-to-side expansion to happen first, you can soften into your belly and up underneath the shoulders a little bit easier, and allow the breath to come into those spaces. Allow the expansion to come into those spaces. Now let the side-to-side breathing go. And now direct your breath for length. So we're in this odd twist, but we want to think about creating length between the crown of our head and our pelvic floor. And the way we do that is finding the alignment, as if there were a straight rod or something, right? Like a barbecue spit or something that's going through us, right down through the middle, from the crown of the head out to the floor. And we're getting longer on that with the breath. Feeling the pressure into the pelvic floor and up underneath the shoulders, maybe even up underneath the head. And now slowly begin to unwind. Just bring your right hand to your ribs, and then slowly cross your body with your right hand out towards your left hand. Do that same thing. Follow your eyes. You can either bring your head low to the ground, or you can follow your hand around. Move your bolster. We're going to use that on the other side. We're going to do the same thing onto the other side. Okay, so come on back to our backs, and maybe this will give you a little different perspective on the movement. Okay, so we began with the left leg. Come to standing, the right leg is long. Find a little bit of energy into the right foot. The left knee is moving away from the body. Left thigh is becoming longer. Feeling the left glute engage. Bring the right arm up over the head. And feel the weight come into the right side of the body. Inhale. You can inhale to expand into the belly, into the lower back as it's rolling to the right, or we can exhale, draw the navel down towards the spine and stay flat on the floor. Those are two different ways we can stabilize the pelvis. On an inhale or an exhale, isn't that something? So just find that, because we need to be able to stabilize our pelvis no matter how we're moving through space. This is one of my favorite movements. It really works deep, deep into this tissue in the pelvis. And then go ahead and relax with the leg. Bring the left hand onto the lower left rib so that you can feel the soft tissue of the belly and the bony tissue of the ribs. And begin to lift the left elbow. And that's about as far as I can lift my elbow before the shoulder starts. Actually, it starts well before that. Just lifting the elbow for me starts the shoulder on that side. On the other side, I have a little bit more flexibility. And slowly back down. We're never going towards the limit of our movement. I could go probably a little bit more. But I want my movement it to be easy. I want it to be soft and fluid. I don't want to have to be working against myself all the time. It's not, we wouldn't have survived as a species if we had to do that. This innate intelligence, body intelligence, physical intelligence. So again, stop with the left shoulder. You can take a rest for a minute, or you can bring the movement from both the left elbow and the left foot at the same time, rolling as one unit, as a cylinder, trying to soften into the right side. Remember, it's not about movement so much, it's about softening. It's about how can we affect the movement by softening the body, not by working. This is a whole different story for me on this side than for the other side. You may experience that too. And our body learns one side to the other, as well as before and after, and also from watching other people. Seeing how other people move influences the way we move, if we do it in that critical way, in that subpractical way. So find your way closer and closer to your side. So the left knee is still going to be more or less towards the ceiling. Rolling as a cylinder, not piece by piece, part by part, as one unit, all the way back on my spine at once. Where that's the intention, it doesn't quite work that way. And then go ahead and find a place off to the right where you can put your arm so that as we reach, actually let's do this first. Next time we press the left foot down, bring the left shoulder up, begin to look to the right hand, left hand on top of the right. Really bring the weight into the upper right side of the body. Find that big openness along the left side and slowly back down. Just a couple more times, as slow as we can. Notice just pushing that knee away and a little exhale can help to keep the right side of your body long and flat on the floor. Okay, so now this time bring the right arm down someplace, and this is usually what takes the longest time for people to do, right, is to find that place where you can easily begin to roll yourself onto the right side with your eyes looking up. So I'm going to have a harder time on this side than I had on the other side too. See, my right leg came up a little bit. Up and around, following the hand. It's just a whole different thing on this side for me. It's very disorganized. So it's probably going to be easier for me to bring my head down, across the arm, keep my center of gravity low, and come back around. Okay? So let's try that. So as we come over, keep the head low, almost into the underarm, and just roll up and around. So try this several times. This is can be very habit forming. Doing what you did when you were a child. So I'm bending the right knee as I start to move to the side. Notice how you have a tendency to do that anyway. It's really hard to keep that leg extended as you roll over to the side. It really wants to, because this is how you probably first rolled over in your life, was just like this. Right, so it's totally reversible. I can stop at any time and go back and forth. From anywhere softly and easily without effort. And then come on up into your stag pose on this side. So we will bring the bolster to our right side, similar to what we did before, leaving space on my back, at my back. Once again, we want to find the length on the right side here so that the ribs are resting on something. Now, if this is too much for you, you can make it smaller, lower, lower. Even on the floor is a wonderful thing. You want to support your head so that your neck is not in some awkward thing. Some people can lay like this. I feel like this is a good thing to do sometimes for me, but most of the time, I want to be as easy as I can here. Just set the timer. Being wary on this side, you might notice that I don't need a pillow between my knees. Right? This side is much easier for me to be on. I feel really relaxed on the bolster. Find a place that's easy for you. The left hand can be in front. Sometimes the left hand and back can feel good. Up overhead can really help find length through the left side. And breathe into the left side of the body. Just the opposite we did the other way. So you want to feel the whole left side of the body expand and get bigger. Front and back towards the ceiling, top to bottom. Soften on the right side, sink in. Sometimes something that's difficult for some folks is finding that balance where we're not feeling like we're constantly falling backwards, we're not constantly rolling forward. And that's finding that flat. As your ribs begin to soften and flatten out, it becomes easier and easier to lie on your side because your body can conform to the surface more easily. Now there are some movements that I like to do when I'm in these kind of shapes, but since I have you breathing in a pranayama type thing, breathing deep into the left, taking a pause, and relaxing around that pause, holding the breath in without using energy to hold it in, so that you can completely relax around that breath, and then exhale it, and then hold it out without effort. Deep into the left side. Where can you let go? All right, so on your next big inhale, inhale your left arm towards the sky. Then draw your left shoulder back. As you come into this twist, just like on the other side, this can be too extreme of a twist. We never want to take anything anywhere near the limit in a class like this. So allow your legs to start to move with it so that you're not contorting your spine until you can get onto your back, and then find a place with support to support your legs. So I'm going to have to support the leg on this side. Here. You can have your arms out into the T. And I want you to think about breathing from side to side once again. Expanding from the left to the right, especially at the bottom of the ribs. Is that my yoga buddy? My yoga buddies. Your full awareness on the sensations of your expanding and contracting body. Shanti. And now bring your breath to lengthen the crown of the head to the pelvic floor. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. And slowly begin to unwind, bringing your left arm over to your right. Maybe bringing your head down towards your underarm of the right side, bend your right elbow, and bring yourself back into a deer shape. There we have here. Let's now come into a seated, comfortable position. Whatever that is for you. I think we're going to end with the Gayatri. How's that? We are going to end with the Gayatri Mantra. It's the oldest continuously chanted mantra known to man. It's about at least 2,700 years old, probably older. Documented 2,700 years. And it has to do with the sun. And it's the one mantra for all. And it has to do that which brings us life every day, the vivifier, the sun, Savitri. So we did 108 rounds of this last Sunday, not yesterday, with the Sunday before, I believe. Is that right? We did 108 rounds of the Gayatri with the quick chant. We like to do that. It's a meditation. It's been happening for thousands of years on this planet. It is a wonderful way to meditate. But we're just going to do a few rounds of this. If you know it, you're welcome to chant along. Shani loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Shanti, shanti, shanti. May all beings everywhere know peace and freedom. And with my words and my thoughts and my actions, I acknowledge and honor their peace and their freedom. Om. Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us this evening. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. How was the sound? How was the sound?